This interview is with the Honorable Mike Felix, Mayor of Sachse, Texas. It is being recorded at the Mayor's office at Sachse City Hall on March the 5th, 2014, starting at 6:30 p.m. Thank you for taking time to visit with us today and to give us some information about you and your work. First, we want to make sure it's okay with you for us to record this interview and to use it on the Sachse Historical Society's website and in other forms of media. Is that okay with you?
Absolutely. Yes,
Thank you, Mayor. Would you please tell us your name and your position with the city of Sachse?
Okay, my name is Michael Felix, and I'm the mayor of the city of Sachse, Texas.
Would you tell us a little bit about your wife, your children, and any other family members?
Yes, I will. I have been married for 33 years to my wife, Kelly, and we have 3 children. My oldest daughter is, her name is Claudia, and she lives in Orlando, Florida. And she's married. And my middle daughter, she lives in San Diego, California, and my son is right now he's going to school at the University of Kentucky, and he stays real busy. Yes, he does.
Would you tell us where you were born and where you grew up? Maybe a little bit about if you lived in town or in the country, and if you moved about some, and just a few things about your growing up years.
I was born in Fort Worth, Texas in 1957. And I grew up with 2 brothers and a sister, and we, at the time we lived in Fort Worth, as most children do, we left the house early in the morning, and then we came back at dinner time. So those days, today you don't see that as much, but I know that we had a full day when we were, especially on the weekends, out with my brothers and my sister having a good time. We moved from there to Hurst, Texas, and then I also lived in Richland Hills, and then moved back to Fort Worth, Texas, when I was about 13 years old. And I attended Wedgwood Middle School in Fort Worth, and then attended Southwest High School, also in Fort Worth.
Is that where you graduated from?
I graduated from Southwest High School.
Where'd you go to elementary?
Elementary school, I went to in Bruce Schulke High School. Elementary school in Wedgwood in Fort Worth. I also went to a school in Richland, Holiday Heights Elementary. So I went to 2 different elementary schools. I went to kindergarten at Burton Hill Elementary also in Fort Worth. So three different schools.
Were you active in the school political scene like you are here in the city, or
absolutely
were you
not?
Sports and
No, I was actually I ran the mile. I was a long distance runner. I ran cross country, and I actually got down to about 4:45 in the mile, which was pretty good back then. I was able to place in a few events.
You kind of stayed out of the limelight as far as the political scene went.
Yes, I probably did. It's always had interest me. Being in kindergarten, when we heard about John F. Kennedy's assassination, we were all sent home. But you know, and I'd always followed the political races after that, with President Johnson coming in, and then the Vietnam War was really in high gear at that time, and so yeah, I was interested in that, and in history. I really liked history in school, so I was interested in those.
Well, you were probably in elementary when the president was killed
yes,
here, and you were in Fort Worth. Were you in Fort Worth at that time?
I was in Fort Worth at that time.
Not far from where you started out that day.
Right, and actually, I took piano lessons as a child, and I took lessons from a woman that lived down the street from Lee Harvey Oswald's parents' house, as I recall. Sure did.
Interesting.
Yes,
interesting.
A little history there.
You never know how it turns out.
No, you never know.
After high school, I assume you went to college. You go.
Went to junior college at Tarrant County for a little less than a year. I was working full time. I had gotten into the full-service car wash business, and that kept me very active. And so at the time, I just, I guess, just became so busy with that that's the direction I headed. I went into the workforce.
What was the first job you had, even as a child? Did you?
I sold newspaper subscriptions to the Fort Worth Press. when I was about 11 years old, and did it for a couple of years actually.
Fort Worth Press, is that?
That's a paper that was in competition with the Star Telegram. Eventually, Star Telegram, they just went out. Fort Worth Press did.
So you got into the car, or not the car business, but the, what was it?
Full service car wash business. I sure
work.
did. Over in Fort Worth, stayed very active in that, and eventually got transferred to Dallas. We had a car wash over in Dallas too, at Northwest Highway and Abrams, and ended up being management and started taking stock and a little ownership at that time. So that's what I was doing at that time.
What other kinds of jobs have you had leading up to the current?
Between the car wash business, I went straight into the what I'm doing now. I've done it since 1980, and that's Magnolia Shutters. And at the time, it was Rushman Draperies. We did commercial draperies for apartments, and then we went into the shutter business in the right around 83 or 84. So we kind of transitioned from the draper business to the shutter business. You
service mostly the North Dallas area?
We service across the country.
Oh, do you?
Yes. We have decorators and builders throughout the country, and so we service the whole country.
You and your wife have been serving our citizens for many years. Would you please give us a little history covering those years and let us know what capacities you both served in? I know you've both been active in the city in all sorts of ways.
Right. I had been involved in the PTAs at the schools when my children were going to the schools. I was parliamentarian on the Sewell Elementary School Board. I mean the PTA board, and also at Hudson. And I would be the only, usually the principal and I were the only ones that the males in the PTA. So it was really, it was fun. But I enjoyed that, and it kind of got me part of. I knew a little bit about what my children were going through daily and at the schools and the needs of the schools. I got involved in years before in a bond program that I asked to be on one of the committees for the GISD bond at one time back then, and then my wife and I started. I guess when we moved to Saxe in 1985, I started wondering about the city a little bit, how the water bills came about and how they came about a little bit too high, in my opinion, at that time. So that kind of got me a little bit interested in that. And so during that time, that was how I got involved in the city. Was I really wanted to know how things were built and things like that. Yeah.
Well, were you on the city council, I believe, for a good while, weren't you?
I got elected in 1992 to the city council and served 11 years on the city council till 2003 as a city councilman. And then I took 1 year off and ran for mayor in 2004.
And you've been mayor since?
2004 to now. Yes, sir.
I know your wife was instrumental in several things around the city and the Fall Fest.
Sure.
I know she led that for a year or two at least.
Yes.
Was involved in it more years, but I think she's president 1 year. And, can you give us a little information on what Kelly did?
After I'd gone on the council at the time, my wife got involved with the Friends of the Library. She served on the library board, and she also served on the parks board. And I think, I'm not sure, I think it was 1997 I'm not sure exactly the date, but I know she won the first Spirit of Saxe award that was given out by the Chamber of Commerce during one of their banquets. Mm-hmm. She also was chair of the Fall Fest for 2 years, which was at that time, it was just a group of our citizens that had created the Fall Fest and were still there. That was before the Chamber eventually took on that.
Well, I know she's been very active in all sorts of things around the city. Would you tell us a little about your time at the city of Saxe? What accomplishments come to mind during your time here, and what are some memorable events during that time? I'm sure there's several.
Yeah, I can go back pretty far. So, but when I first was on the city council, we we had an opportunity to widen Highway 78. It was just 2 lanes at the time, and so that opportunity came about, and I think that was at that time that was a really a big event for Saxe. I think we had 1 light going down 78 at the time, and so I think that was really one of the first ways that economic development wise that we opened the city up in that way. Also, the property there at Murphy in 78, the opportunity that we had to work with Kroger and establish that shopping center was very big for the city of Saxe. But that area stayed vacant for many years, and we were told we had to have rooftops before we'd have anything like that in the city of Saxe. So we just happened to have a man named Don Herzog come before the council at that time, and we had many discussions about Woodbridge and bringing Woodbridge into Saxe, and so once Woodbridge was established, it gave us the rooftops to bring in the Kroger Shopping Center. Sure did.
Now, that was a major accomplishment.
It was major. I think going from at-large seats at the time in 1992 and 3 to places, that to me established that the city was headed in the direction that it was in the growth mode at that time too. The council doesn't represent a section of the city; they represent the city as a whole. But it gave us opportunity to go to from 2-year terms to 3-year terms, and that was established back then too. So I think that was very important to the city. 1998, the establishment that the citizens voted in the Economic Development Corporation. I think that was
Is that when it was established?
I'm trying to remember the exact year.
Yeah,
97, 6, somewhere in that area. I think it was established in. We can look back on some of those dates.
Oh yeah, we can.
But that in coming forward, we can see what that has accomplished to our city. Getting our infrastructure in place, we had every year the Dallas County with some programs that we can do in some areas of the older parts of the city to upgrade our infrastructure. So every year we were allotted funds, and what we did was we replaced every clay pipe in the city, and that's now been done over many years. But that's also been because of water leakage and infiltration. It was costing the city a lot of money during storms, during the storms. So I think that's been getting the infrastructure and getting our water towers in place has really helped us establish that too.
Probably the freeway coming through seemed to me like that.
Freeway had been talked about way even back then. We had citizens out in the rural, out in the country that that were really concerned, and they had a right to be concerned about that because of what that might bring. But meetings, after many meetings, everyone was on board that we needed that economically, and having the northern route chosen over the southern route was very important to the city of Saxe. That's another very important thing that happened.
Someone was fortunate when they put those billboards
Somebody
out there.
just didn't mess it by much at all. They had those billboards in place at the time. They sure did.
That's amazing. That's been in the mid '80s.
Yes, it was. It was.
I sit watching.
Good forecasting.
How have you seen the city of Saxe change over the years you have been here? I believe since 1985. You said when you came.
Yes.
And how do you see the city of Saxe changing over the next several years?
Sure. We've gone from a 3,500 population back when I got started in '92 to around we're at 22,000 now, close to 22,000, and but we've been able to maintain. And it's really something that we can be very proud of. The atmosphere, the quality of life still is maintained. The city's very safe still. When folks, and I would too, when you move to a new area, the first thing you think about is the safety. Is this a safe community to live, or a safe area to move in? And I think we have established that. We were named 5th safest city in the state of Texas just in the last year or two.
The crime rate here is very low.
Crime rate's very low, yes.
Well, I don't know current structure that's here, the facilities that have been built, that seems like a really...
Yes, in 2006, the bond program was established for the city hall that we're in now, and streets, parks, and it's a great place for us to do business when folks come here and want to start business in Sachse. It's a great meeting place. Folks talk about how nice it is and how what a great building.
Has it all worked out pretty good from what we see on the outside? It seems like the facilities are very nice and they seem to be serviceable.
Yes. So we don't have haven't had any issues that you may have, and no leaks. Everything's doing very well. Establishing the public safety areas, refacing the library, having senior center now move over into what was the police and the library building. So this campus is just beautiful. Really,
I know the Historical Society office is where the City Hall was at one time, for years. And,
yes.
And it's very hard to imagine that it could have been operated from that. But
it's hard for me to imagine, but I did serve a couple of years in that building over off of 5th, and then I've served in 3 different city halls. I served in the one off of 78, and then now this one. So I've been fortunate enough to serve in 3 different locations.
Do you feel Sachse is a good place to live or work, and would you encourage folks to move here?
Oh yes, I really believe that. I think that we have everything that maybe the large cities have to offer, and if we don't, then they don't have with the 190, and it's just not far to get anywhere. It's centralized now. A lot of it's been built to the north, so we're being close to 190's really established that. For our citizens. So yes, I would welcome anyone that would love to come move here. We would love to have you. We would love for folks to move to Sachse. It's a great community. We have a great volunteers. We have people that serve on our boards. That's always been the case. We offer the Fall Fest, and we also have now our 4th of July spectacular that has become very big. Well, you can actually go and see a great fireworks show without having to leave town.
That's really grown.
That has really grown.
That's amazing. That's good.
But you had mentioned earlier, what I envision 20, 30 years from now is I would think that you will still be able to recognize Sachse. I think that we're near build out at this time, so I don't think you'll see a whole big change other than the 190 district will be built out hopefully in 20 years completed, and maybe along Highway 78 it may look a little different. We are at this time establishing a 78 committee to look at 78 to help our businesses that we already have. We want to offer a hand to our businesses. Sure.
Yeah, I know we're a bit handicapped here in this area with the railroad. It's good and it's bad on one side, which kind of wipes out a whole section of the... Is there any options on that? I know Wiley rerouted the railroad up in the northern section a bit, but that may not even be feasible.
Yeah, it's probably not. It's something that I've just not seen anything that would indicate that we would be able to do that. We did not know that we would be able to establish something on that side of the tracks, but we have. We've got Walmart coming. We've got a big area over there for our commercial, and we're very proud that we were able to establish some economic business over on that side.
That makes a lot of difference.
Yeah.
Well, now Walmart is opening pretty soon. What, this summer?
June. I think they're opening in June. Walmart will be open in June, and then there'll be quite a few other businesses along with that over there. And we are getting ready to establish quiet zones throughout the city, which will be great for safety reasons. Those arms, unless you just barrel through them, you can't get. You shouldn't be able to get through them.
Will the arms replace? There'll be arms there, and the trains won't be blowing their horns.
They won't be blowing the horns through the town.
Yeah, that's right. That'll quieten things a bit.
Yeah.
Would you tell us about organizations other than the city that you have been associated with and are currently involved in? I know the Lions Club.
Been involved in Lions Club for over 20 years. I have been chair of that group. We brought a circus to town one year. That was very successful. That was off of Ben Davis Road. We had a circus come to town, and gosh, that was something else. But the Lions Club we do so much for the community and the children with the eyeglass program and the sending the kids down to the camp at the summer camps. And I've also been involved with in the past. I've been, like I said, I've been involved in the PTAs. I coached our Saxe ball program. I coached all my children through that for I guess up to 12 to 15 years. Very involved in the sports program.
Well, your kids start out at Sewell, I guess, didn't you say?
Started out at Sewell. My oldest daughter started at Luna because Sewell wasn't built yet. Then Sewell opened, and my other two children went to Sewell. My oldest daughter, she ended up going to Hudson, as did my other two children went to Hudson also. But Saxe High School was not open at the time for my oldest daughter, and she went to Naaman Forest, and my other two children went to Saxe.
This is a little bit related to one of the questions, but what do you feel our city is doing well, and what could it do better?
Well, I think we're looking, the thing that we're doing well is we're looking ahead. We're trying to establish our goals. We're trying to get our infrastructure in place for the future, and that's very important to do that. Establishing a full-time fire department was really something that it's got us set for the future. Going from volunteer to full-time, it's not a real easy task, and we were able to get through that. But I feel like our public safety is one of the strongest in the state. Anywhere you can find our fire and police, and I think that that establishes for us for the future, ahead of the game for that safety we talked about. But I think we're being successful in the quality of life for our citizens, and I think that's one of the most important things we can do is set the quality of life standard so high that 20 years from now that quality will still be there. But infrastructure is going to be our biggest, that's our biggest task.
I know some of the areas on these part are still kind of a country atmosphere, and there's some development plan there, and people are mixed emotions about whether that's good or bad. And I don't know, do you feel there's a future for the city with to remain somewhat of a rural atmosphere, or?
I think if we're successful in our park programs and open space programs, that field will still be there.
And we touched on this a little bit also, but what special events come to mind during your time in Saxe? Which ones stick in mind that you'd like to tell us about? We got the Fall Fest and the 4th of July, but sometimes there's other things that pop up that some of us might not even know about.
Here's one probably. Joe Stone came to me, and I just happened to have a tape that the Historical Society was interested in. Not many folks know, but back in 87 maybe, we had a time capsule there, and we had all of our staff, city staff, chamber, all our folks out at the City Hall there at 5th Street, and there's a time capsule buried there right now. It's supposed to be opened in 2035. 50 years from now, so it was 85. I know what's in that time capsule. I was a part of that time capsule. We had, at the time, if you'll recall, the Chicago Bears had the shuffle. We did the Saxe shuffle. We were Joyce Yandry and quite a few of us back then, Mike Foster, a few of the folks back then. We wrote the Saxe shuffle, and we went out during the time capsule ceremony, and we had the police, the fire, the department heads, chamber folks singing the Saxe shuffle. It's filmed. It's on a VHS tape, but it is buried in there. And I had a copy of that, and I think now the Historic Society does have a copy of that Saxe shuffle. They should have it over there. But if anybody'd ever like to see that, it's
I haven't seen that.
Yes.
Well, where is that capsule buried? Because we've been trying to find
it. It's right in front of the Historical Society building right there, or closer to the road, where the flagpole was.
We have to.
Have you?
Well, I don't know. I know some folks were hunting for that at one time. We may edit some of this out, but because there were some questions where that was.
It had a stone, pretty big stone
on top of it.
On top of it, so it should be there.
By the flagpole or the
Yes,
current
we may
flagpole
have
is?
to go look.
Yeah, well, I mean, I knew that there was one there.
Sure,
Somewhere, but we didn't know exactly
There
where.
is some really
And what's supposed to be
items.
pulled up? What?
2035.
Oh, it's a while, yeah.
Yeah, 50 years. It was
yeah,
going to be 1985 to 2035.
Oh, my goodness.
And it was that was really something that not many folks know that we did back then.
We need to,
But yeah, I know
like
that
that
tape.
bit.
You can find that tape somewhere in the
yeah, I'm sure they may have put it on CD or
Yes.
DVD or something.
Yeah, I think Joe Stone did.
Yeah, he was quite a mover.
Yes, he was, you know,
instrumental in all sorts of things.
Joe Stone was he was the fire chief for many years, and he even up to 10 years ago, if we had a water main break and we didn't have records of the cutoffs, we would call Joe Stone, and he would know where those cutoffs are. Yes, yes, he would.
He helped name the streets, I think,
Yes.
did he, for a number of years. If you want
He sure did. And that was another thing about naming streets. We worked with Saxe High School not too long ago, and if you'll notice behind Saxe High School, we've got Wrangler, Cotillion, all the streets. The teachers at the school got together, and the developer that developed that area let the school and let us name those streets. So all those Mustang and all those streets back there, that was done between the developer and the school. It sure was.
little community involvement. Well, that's good. Folks can do a lot of neat things if they're just given the opportunity.
They sure
and,
can.
and a lot of them want to do stuff. We have found that many of the folks we've interviewed have been special places, done unusual or unexpected things, or met really interesting people. Have you met some interesting people, been various places, or done certain things that might be something folks wouldn't know about that you could tell about?
Well, I've been down to Playa de Carmen in Mexico before on a trip, and ran into to some folks that live in Saxe. I couldn't believe it. We were down there and ran into some folks, so it's a small world. Been to New York City. I did meet Donald Trump. He just happened to be walking through the hotel and got to speak to him. I thought that was pretty cool for a few minutes. Met Robert Goulet and his wife one time. So I've met some famous people like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, they got to meet you.
They got to meet me. That's right. That's right.
What do you consider your most challenging event while you were mayor? Since you've been mayor? Not necessarily bad. Maybe a bit of a challenge or
well, I think
obstacle.
Over the years, Fall Fest in some ways has been a challenge because we didn't always have enough electrical outlets, things like that out there to do that, and I think coming up with ideas and how we could improve on that event, because it's such a special and big event for the city of Saxe. That event, I think the groundbreaking for this complex here, that was a pretty big event to put together, and we were able to get that done. So I think those two come to mind right now.
What do you consider your most rewarding accomplishment while serving as mayor? Maybe a personal accomplishment and an accomplishment of your administration.
Sure.
I know the city hall was probably one of those, but I mean, you kind of.
Well, yeah, the bond program, putting that together and having that passed. But I would think, for me personally as mayor, the biggest accomplishment I had and the goal that I had set was I wanted every individual council member to be involved. And some of the years I served on the council, I didn't feel like that was, in some ways the case, but I wanted to make sure that every one of the council members had a voice, felt like they were a part of the things that we were doing, and I think that's happened, and I really am proud of that. I think that each of the council members should have a voice, and we don't agree all the time, but we're able to walk away after that meeting and move on to the next item, and I'm proud of that.
It seems like you have a very good relationship with the council and Billy George, city manager,
Sure.
and the whole staff. It seemed like a
Really have. I've had the opportunity to serve with 4 different city managers over my tenure, so it's been it's an actual learning process for me too each time. So.
I guess. Well, let's see. Was Mr. Lloyd
Served with Lloyd Henderson when I first.
Yeah.
It sure did. Served with Lloyd
Bill
Henderson. and Bill, and I think in between there, Joanne was for a little bit, and then Bill, and then Alan Barnes, Bill Axon, Alan Barnes, and now Billy George.
Since this recording is being made to preserve the history of Saxe, what would you like to pass on to others who will view this video maybe several years in the future?
Well,
maybe when they pull up that time capsule, they'll be looking at this video and say, wow.
Yeah, they're going to be how much I've changed over the years, how different I look. Oh gosh. Just the I would think this the face of Saxe, just the way Saxe has grown. But then again, I still, to this day, have folks say they still feel a little small town atmosphere. That's something to be proud of. Yeah.
What do you feel the Saxe Historical Society should do to best preserve the history of Saxe and to inform those interested about our community? How can we do a better job?
Well, I think the Historical Society has done a great job. There's always been so many volunteers willing to step forward and say those things. I think approaching the city like this, learning about some of the history, I think that's very important. You know, if you don't know something happened, then we got to go out and find somebody that can tell us what it was that did happen and how we got to where we are today. And I think that's very important. I think the Historic Society does a great job. I think they've done a great job with the grounds, everything, the property over there. I think that having the scouts as part of that Historical Society, as far as the you know, when they do a project like they did with the gazebo down there, I think that was very nicely done. But I think that really just maintaining what they're doing, and you know, I know the city at any time is willing to help with that.
That's a good coordinated effort. I know the city helps. Well, I guess the city legally owns the building.
The fire truck is an example of preserving it out in the field for many.
Yeah, a long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you leave office, do you plan to stay in the Saxe area?
Yes, I do. I love Saxe, and I can't think of anywhere else I'd rather be right now.
Well,
or in the future.
Answers the next question about when you retire, which may be a few years away. Do you still, at this point in time, do you still plan to live here in this area?
Sure do. Sure do. Yes, sir.
Is there anything else that you'd like to include in this at this point in time? We can always add things later, but.
I just appreciate the opportunity to be able to tell a few stories. Maybe they've been something that someone may have not known about me, and I just know that the future of Saxe is in good hands right now, and it will be in the future. I just think that the type community that we have, having the volunteers that we do and the citizens that care so much about the city is so important, and I don't see anything but Saxe thriving in the future.
Well, that's good. Well, thank you for allowing us to record this interview. Thank you also for your and your wife's many years of commitment and service to the citizens of Saxe. We sincerely appreciate it, and tell her a big thank you from us.
I will tell her, and if you folks don't know it, Bobby Tillman's a really big part of our city too, and he's also been one of our volunteers that has made Saxe a better place. And I just want to throw that in before I say thank you so much for allowing me to be here with you today.
Appreciate that.